Here's problem number 1 on the review. Here's problem number 1 on the review. You have to we want to reduce this down. We have to factor the top and the bottom, the numerator and denominator. For the numerator, it is a binomial. 2 terms, x squared and 16, 2 terms with a minus in between. That's called the difference of 2 squares. And what you do whenever you have the difference of 2 squares is you put 2 parentheses. And how do you get x squared? Well, it's x here times an x there. How do you get a negative in the middle? You need a plus and a minus. And how do you get 16? You need 4 times 4. They're perfect squares. You have to take the square roots. You can't use 2 times 8 for 16. It won't work. This is how you factor the difference of 2 perfect squares. X plus 4, x minus 4. On the bottom, you don't have perfect squares. What you have is a common factor. The common factor, there's a 2 in both the 2 and the 8. So the common factor is 2. I put parentheses. Take the 2 out of 2x. And that gives me 1x. Bring down the sign minus and take the 2 out of 8 and you get 4. 2 times x here is 2x. And 2 times negative 4 is the negative 8 from here and here. Now we take, and we've got everything factored, and now we look. Are there anything in the top that's exactly the same as something in the bottom? Yes. We have an x minus 4. We have another x minus 4. You cannot cancel part of a binomial, but this is all a binomial. This is all a binomial. They're exactly the same. They cancel each other out, and we're left with the answer of x plus 4 over 2 is our answer for number 1. Number 2. Now, it's the same problem. We just have to factor it differently. What we're going to do on the top is we have a common factor 3. There's a 3 here, a 3 here, and a 3 here. So I'm going to take the 3 out, and I'm going to take 3 out of all of these. So take the 3 out of this one. I'm left with x squared minus, take this 3 out here, I'm left with x, minus, take 3 out of 18, you're doing it by dividing, don't subtract, it's 3 and 18, gives me 6. Now I have a trinomial here, I'm going to factor it, I've got the common 3, which I have to keep, I use 2 parentheses, this will work fine because I have a 1 here, in front of the x squared. So I go straight to the x squared. How do I get x squared? X times x. The negative, this one, always goes in the first one. And whenever the last sign is negative, whenever this is negative, the signs have to be different. This sign has to be different from this sign. Since this one here is a negative, this one has to be a positive. And now I need 2 numbers here, last and last. When I multiply them, I have to get 6. And when I multiply them, I have to get 6. And when I add them, I have to get the 1, this one right here, the 1 in front of the x. What 2 numbers give me, I'm sorry, I have to subtract them. I have to subtract them to get 6. There's a negative, it's 2 numbers give me 6. When I subtract them, I have to get 1. And so those numbers are 3 and 2. So I factor the top. The bottom is again the difference of 2 perfect squares, a minus in the middle, an x squared and a 9 are both perfect squares. So I need 2 parentheses. How do I get x squared? X times x. How do I get a negative in the middle? 1's plus, 1's minus. And how do I get 9? 3 times 3. Again, what cancels? Oh, the x minus 3 here and the x minus 3 here are exactly the same. They cancel out. Nothing else cancels. Binomials, it's all of the binomial or none of the binomial, so it's none. So what's left is 3 on top times x plus 2 on top over x plus 3 on the bottom. And that is our answer for that problem. Factor the top and the bottom and canceling. Number 3. Multiplication problem. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to factor all the parts. On the top left, this one, we're going to take out the 3. There's a 3 in both. And there's 3 x's and 2 x's, so we're going to take x squared out. There's 2 x's in each one. What's left? Well, after I take 3x squared here out of this one, there's an x left. After I take 3x squared out of this one, there's a minus in the middle. The x squares are gone, and 3 goes into 12 4 times. If I multiply the 3x squared times the x minus 4, I'll get the numerator here. So this is gone. I replaced it with my factored part on top. Let's go to the bottom right, this one here. Again, what's the common factor? Well, there's a 6 and a 12, so the common number is 6. There's 2 x's in the first term, 1 x in the second, so there's 1 x that's common. Parentheses. If I take 6x out of this 6x out of 6x squared, what's left? 1x plus sign. So when I take 6x out of 12x, I'm left with a 2. This one's gone. Now on the bottom left, I'm going to factor. There is no common factor. So in this one, remember, here's what we're going to do. We start with a number in front of x squared. In this case, it's a 3. Do 2 parentheses. And we're going to put the 3x from here, and another 3x here. It cannot be x squared. It's 3x and another 3x. Do your signs the same. Middle sign, that's this one, always goes there. This is a plus, so this sign has to be the same as the other one. Since the first one's a negative, the second one is also a negative. Then we need 2 numbers here, this one and this one at the ends. When we multiply them, we get 8. No, sorry, wrong. We need to take 3 times 8, which gives me a plus 24. And now I need 2 numbers that give me 24. And when I add them, I get the 14 in the middle. When I multiply, I get 24. When I add them, it's a positive there. So when I add them, I have to get 14. What gives me 24? When I add, I get 14. 3 and 8 gives me 24. When I add, I get 11. They're no good. 4 times 6 gives me 24. When I add, I get 10. They're no good. Let me see. 2 times 12 is 24. When I add them, I get 14. So I need a 12 and a 2. My signs are fine. So I simply put the 12 in the first one, the bigger one, and the 2 in the second one. Now, then, get rid of this part. Now, first parenthesis here. Is there a number I can divide into 3 and also into 12? And the answer is yes. I can divide 3 into both. And when I put 3 in the 3x, I get x minus, and 3 in the 12 is 4. The second one, what can I divide into 3x and 2? Nothing, just 1. So they don't change, so the second one stays the same as 3x minus 2. That's what I get for factoring there. Now, that means everything else here is just gone. We used this, it's gone. We've done this, these are all gone. And we're left on the bottom with this number here, the 3x minus 4 times 3x minus 2. Top right, we do the same thing. we're going to go parentheses, 3x, 3x. The first one's a plus. The second one is negative here. This one's negative, so they're different. This is negative. 3 times 4 is a negative 12. What gives me a negative 12? And also, when I subtract, 12 when I multiply, and when I subtract, I get the 4, this 4 that's in the middle. So what times what gives me 12? When I subtract, I get 4. The answer is 6 and 2. The first one is 6. The big one goes first. The small one goes second, is 2. Now what can I divide? On the first one, I can divide by 3 and divide by 3. That leaves me x plus 2. And the second one cannot be divided by anything but 1, so it's 3x minus 2. And again, this is no good. This is gone. I've used them all up. So now I just got to cancel. What cancels? I got an x minus 4 on top. We'll change colors. Okay, I got an x minus 4 on top and an x minus 4 on the bottom there. I've got an x minus 2 on top, 3x minus 2, and a 3x minus 2 on the bottom. They cancel. I've got an x plus 3 on top, x plus 2 and x plus 2 on the bottom. They cancel. That leaves me with 3x squared on top, 6x on the bottom. 3 over 6 is 1/2. The x on the bottom cancels with one of the ones on top, leaving me 1x on top. My answer is 1/2 x, or x over 2. Number 4. Now, number 4, first, I took and replaced the division sign. Took the division sign here and made a modification and turned this upside down. That's what I did. Now, did I factor? The 2x is fine. The 3x minus 12, I can take a 3 out. That leaves me x minus 4 there. On the bottom over here, I can take an x out. That leaves me x minus 2. That one's gone. And on the top, it's a 1 in front, so I just need straight parentheses. X squared is x and x. The middle sign here is negative, so it goes there. This is a plus, so they're the same, so this is negative. What number times what number gives me 8? And when I add them, I get 6 in the middle. That number is 4 and 2. So that cancels. Now what actually cancels here? X minus 4. X minus 4 cancels with x minus 4. X minus 2 cancels with x minus 2. This x cancels with this one. So what's left in the whole problem? 2 on top, 3 on the bottom, from here and from here. And my answer is 2/3. That's problem 1 through 4. I'm going to stop the tape, and we'll start on number 5 on the next tape.